dry oasis from currently it's raining outside where I am. So rainy Palm Springs, California, or the like. I'm your host, Danny Hargraves from sunny, cloudy, rainy, rainy Palm Springs, California, or the like. And these are my co-hosts, Kirby and Snorlax. Kirby, what do you like anything to say? Papaya, 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 papaya. Apparently, Kirby says that he doesn't mind the rain. There's Snorlax had to take the big guy in, so yeah. Again, part of my Twitch affiliates streaming thing and going for that 13 more followers, so I don't expect much, but I'm just gonna do what I can. So, first off, as part of my little streaming thing, I'm going to be doing some artwork or sketch work. So, yeah. Uh, Wendy. Alright. And there's like it's clothing. No idea why I turned this. For those watched the fumble a little bit meantime, I hope that your day is really good, and if not, I hope the rest of your day is better or tomorrow is better for you. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Let's Right. Okay, so here's me trying to all this. Basically, currently park in progress, like that Saturday in the Park with George thing. Right. Yeah, that sounds like. Oh, Right? This is how it's out right now. It's oh, let's see here. Right. Give me a lot of people moving to a country of myself. Ah, just for that need alone. Okay, let's see. Before I go any further, this is progress so far. I think I'll go with all. Alright, let's see. Regret. I'll let you. Fine, I'll go with. Fergus. Nice. Yeah. Here is a look of my little shrine here. Got Jungle Gym, few little of place of shades, basketball court, little bench, tree, little silver greyhorn sheep thing, little pit, and a little bit of dirt up there and a road. Okay. All I have to do now is take care of the best part. Green, 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 green. Green. Mm. Mm. Dun, 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 dun. It's- Now I'll put in spring green. But he has color theory. All right, and though I don't think it's perfect to an extent, here's my little drawing here. So yeah, I think I shall let all the world see my little vision. Right up here are the little trees among the dirt. This road, little gray horn statue there, little mud pit there, tree, little gazebo thing with a bench, basketball court over there, bench thing, little thing with shade. Wait, that's a jungle gym. The jungle gym set over there, and some bench with shade. Yeah, getting the jungle gym set up was just a little bit of a nightmare. So yeah. Okay, so and this one's another one of the books. Another one's of the books that I'll put on my Patreon. So yeah. Another thing of fun down and But not only that, but I also made this little thing in my free time. It's the objection sign, but with little flair of the funk. I don't know why I did it. I especially thought of using primary colors, but I forgot it's yellow and not green, so that's just the weird thing. I was thinking about the Pokemon games as a reference. So yeah. Anything else I could continue with? Hmm. Well, in a little bit I plan to visit Metroid Prime Remastered for Nintendo Switch. That's always something I always wanted to get back into. Guess I could take this time to go over my next favorite video games of all time. Yeah, just stuff. Kirby, have you been liking this so far? Hello, 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 hello. Right. All right. Should probably wash my hands first. I'll be right back. Bring myself a little scraggly beard. All right, let's see here. I think I last ended off my favorite games with Crash Bandicoot. It's about wait, it was Crash Team Racing Nitro. Okay, so I'll go with 50 up to 55. Most of these. Okay. We have like a few games to work with. Okay, so. Hmm. Right. Okay. Okay, so on to my favorite video games of all time. Here. Number 67. People might hate me for this, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, after my lukewarm response to Xenoblade Chronicles X, I didn't know what was going on with this series, but then I saw Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I thought it was alright gameplay wise. I just found it fun and exciting. The worlds were unique to explore. There was so much to do, like the first game. And yeah, let's see here. The music was great. The visuals look amazing. As for the story, I I can definitely agree that the story was a little bit complex, and some of the characters were just meh. But I don't really hold that against it. I just enjoyed what I enjoyed out of the game, and if you didn't like the anime art style or whatever, oh well. I kind of liked it, so Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is one of my favorite games. And if you're wondering about the first game, don't worry, that will come sometime later. And as for the third game, as of this video, I have yet to play it. I know, and it's been like a year or so, so I'll get to that eventually. Number 66. It's Ace Attorney Dual Destinies for 3DS. Speaking of which, can't wait for as of this recording, can't wait for the Apollo Justice trilogy to come to Nintendo Switch sometime this week. Anyways, my favorite thing about Ace Attorney Dual Destinies is that aesthetically it looks very good. The music is greatly orchestrated. The cases are amazing for the most part. The characters are fun and quirky. Athena Sykes is one of the best new characters in all of Ace Attorney, as well as her little widget gimmick and reading emotions and all of that. The gameplay stream is definitely more streamlined, a lot less menuing and UI. It's more simply straightforward and more straight to the point. And yeah, it's after after Ace Attorney Investigations, Apollo Justice, and the eventual point that we didn't get Ace Attorney Investigations 2 out here in the West, I was really at a crossroads of where the Ace Attorney series was going, but I believe that Dual Destinies was a little bit in the direct in the right direction. I wasn't too keen on the next game, my honest opinion, but my favorite out of the Apollo Justice trilogy would have to be Ace Attorney Dual Destinies for me, anyways. And yeah. What else? Right. All right. I'm wishing it. All right. Up next for 65 is Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. Man, it is one of my favorite send-offs for a trilogy of all times. When you think about the number 3 for any kind of game, you would go for Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. My favorite thing about Trials and Tribulations, well, there's a lot of things to like about Trials and Tribulations: the characters, the story, the music, the comedy, the cases, the drama, the intrigue. Just basically like Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, but Trials and Tribulations is a little bit more special because it encapsulates what it's basically a send off for the original trilogy. So many callbacks and so on, and there's a lot of things to really like about it. And yeah, after this game, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad that I played Trials and Tribulations. As for the second game, it gets an honorable mention as well as the other Ace Attorney, well as the other Apollo Justice trilogy games. But yeah. And as for Ace Attorney Investigations, really wanted to like it, was a little bit disappointed. I have yet to finally finish Ace Attorney Investigations 2. Should do that one of these days. Anyways, yeah, Trials and Tribulations, good game. Right. Alright. Up next is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. So, back in like 2010, I believe, this was one of the best licensed indie games of all time. It had great characters, great sprite work, great music by Amanaguchi. I forgot how to pronounce their the composer's name. Great sprite work, great level design, great bosses. It was just really fun, and not only could I play Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers, but there was also Campine, Stephen Sills, Wallace Wells, and a host of a lot of other stuff to do. It was basically similar to River City Ransom, but just an interesting beat 'em up throwback of sorts. And yeah, I found it really fun. And I'm glad that it came to current consoles as well, since the license died out until like a few years ago. So yeah, God Pilgrim versus the World, one of my favorite games of all time, and I will still sing its praises. Right? Alright. Up next is Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards for Nintendo Switch. Let's see here. My first history with Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, would definitely be the McDonald's Playground stuff, where you were actually able to play those older games. And I've tried to get into Kirby 64 a few times here and there. I don't know why I haven't fully completed it until recently, but yeah, it is. Kirby 64 is one of the best landmark games for 2.5 gaming. It is stylized very well. The characters and enemies and bosses are all great. The music is incredible. And even though it wasn't utilized to its fullest until probably way later, the the dual the comp the copy combinations was definitely unique for its time and definitely a bit experimental. And not only that, but it also played into the Dark Matter trilogy. It was just an incredible journey. Sure, the controls don't gel well currently, but Kirby 64 is definitely one of the most underlooked Nintendo 64 games, and I definitely give a high recommendation. Ah, yes. Number 62. Alright, so up next is Kirby Superstar Ultra for the Nintendo DS. Many can agree that the original Superstar Ultra is one of the best, let's see, your scenario games. What do you call it? Mini, not mini games, but storied. Well, not story driven games, but it has a. But Kirby Superstar, the base game alone, also definitely has a lot of content for, even if how short it is. There's a lot of variety for each of the scenarios. Like Spring Breeze is basically the first Kirby game, but with color and copy abilities. Then there's the Dynablade mode, which is basically simply its own story with its own copy abilities. Gourmet Racer, which is a race against King Dedede. The other, the actual mini game stuff, like I forgot what, like that Megaton Punch theme. Not to mention the last scene with the Milky Way Wishes was definitely a unique way spin on Kirby. Let's see here. The music is great. The audio is great. Sound effects are great. The music is great. It looks fantastic. The bosses, the level design, and bosses, level design, backgrounds, locations, all of that are very iconic. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about Revenge of Meta Knight. Not to mention, there's also, with the Superstar Ultra, there's not only Arena, but True Arena, Revenge of Meta Knight Ultra, whatever it was called. Bring Revenge of Dedede or whatever. True Arena, Helper to Hero. Kirby Superstar Ultra is definitely one of the best remakes of its generation, and I will still stand by that. And yeah, up next, still going on with the whole Kirby stuff, is up next Kirby Triple Deluxe for the Nintendo 3DS. And yeah, Kirby Triple Deluxe is one of my favorites because I didn't know what to think about Return to Dreamland. Not to mention, I didn't play Return to Dreamland when it came out because, once again, I had no TV and no Wii when I was over in college. So basically, mobile games is what I had to go with at the time. And Kirby Triple Deluxe, definitely one of the best 3DS games on the system. I love the new copy abilities. I definitely love the Hypernova theme. The level design was great. Bosses, enemies are great as usual. And Kirby is just one of the best things ever. And yeah, what else but can I say about this game than just Kirby Triple Deluxe is definitely a great game. Alright. Another part, the next part of Alright. Right? My number 60 will have to go to Castlevania Symphony of the Night for PS4. I played Rondo of Blood, the original TurboGrafx 16 version. Thought it was okay in some regards. Didn't like the way you had to actually unlock Maria, but actually playing the game was really fun. And Now, as for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, my gosh, the back Alucard is one of the best protagonists ever. The locations were amazing. The enemies, bosses, stage design was all incredible. Let's see here. The way you progressed was really interesting and fun. It's basically an RPG in a sense, but with Metroidvania elements. Let's see here. There are a few things that I didn't like about it. Probably the surprise twist at the end and what that meant. But the final boss was really fun, not gonna lie. I don't remember how tricky some of the bosses were, but I did really enjoy it for what it was, and yeah, still give Symphony of the Night a high recommendation. Alright. Alright. You may hate me for this upcoming one, but this is where the big boys play, and yeah, I'm just going to say it right now. Okay, number 59, Final Fantasy 9, 58, Final Fantasy 6, and Final Fantasy 57, Final Fantasy 7. Okay, starting off with Final Fantasy 9. Great music, great characters, great bosses. Oh, I'll get to that. Great music, great characters, locations, battle design, great worlds, great setting. Let's see here. The only thing I probably didn't like about Final Fantasy IX were, admittedly, some of the bosses. I mean, there's there's some that were anticlimactic. Some of the music was whatever, especially the battle theme. Let's see here. Final boss is like came out of nowhere for me. What else do we have? Triple Triad or whatever the card game was is not a good substitution of what they had in 8. Let's see here. If I remember, I found the. Oh, yeah. I guess I'll just say that the bonus content in 10 was just okay. Although some of the stuff you had to do to get some of the ultimate weapons in 10 were outright, like, exhausting. Like, trying to get Wakka's ultimate weapon was a slog because he had to play that blitzball thing. As for Nine's mini games, I mean, there's that Chocobo Holland and Cold's theme, which I just found out was like whatever. Some of the optional bosses were just okay. Some of the mini games are whatever in Final Fantasy IX, eh. but yeah, that's Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy VI, great music, great story, great characters. Even if some of the playable cast are to a fault forgettable and don't have enough screen time. The enemies and bosses are great. The customization is great. The playable character design is. Uh, let's see here. The classes each characters fit into are, for the most part, great, even though, like, 3 are interchangeable. enemies, worlds, level design, all of it is, for the most part, great. Hmm. What did I have a huge problem with? 6. Yes, some of the bosses. I don't know. But definitely the biggest highlight of Final Fantasy VI is its opera scene. And then the HD H pixel remaster, it is beautiful, beyond beautiful. And I love it. Even played the pixel remaster and it's really fun. And anything else? Kefka's great villain. Looks great, sounds great as well. And yeah, it's just an overall really fun experience. Then there's Final Fantasy VII. Okay, so big disclaimer: the reason why I like Final Fantasy VII more than six is because it was one of my first games ever, and even though I didn't appreciate it at the time, it visually, even though it's a lot stated with its 3D pixel design, in battles it looks really good. The story captivated me. Most of the characters were great. Most of the bosses were interesting. Sephiroth is still iconic. Say what you will about Sephiroth and his motives and all that and his actions, but Sephiroth just, even if he look, even though his tale has been exaggerated and regaled to some point, the myth of Sephiroth still lingers onto this day. And say what you want, but Sephiroth has still has the presence and look to back it up and the abilities to back it up. And some people say that Kefka is definitely a better villain. You know what? I won't lie that Kefka may be a better villain, but Sephiroth still has a stronger presence to this day. And for how intimidating he is and how ruthless he is. And yeah, I definitely also like the customization with the materia. I mean, with the last game with its Esper system, the Esper system was alright. I kind of like the materia system a little bit more, in my honest opinion. The worlds, the settings are great. Let's see here. Definitely was intrigued by the story because of the whole environmental theme. See here. Even though the story flounders here and there, I do like what the ambiguity of the ending and all of that. And the music, definitely top notch, especially the battle music and the boss music and anything associated with Sephiroth, especially One Winged Angel. That one is top tier final boss music alone. And yeah, as for any other Final Fantasy games that I have yet to mention, enrollment mentions go to FF1. See here, FF5, FF12, and FF. Right? Honorable mentions go to Final Fantasy 1 and the Final Fantasy Renaissance ROM hack thing I played, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 12, and Final Fantasy Tactics. All of them are great games in their own ways, even though there's some stuff in those games that I don't like as a whole. But yeah, what else is there? Oh, oh, oh. Oh yeah, gotta put this in. Alright, so first off, if you're wondering why I put Final Fantasy 7. Aren't you Final Fantasy? I meant to say Fire Emblem 7, Blazing Sword for the GBA. So, nothing against Fire Emblem 7, Blazing Sword, whatever you call it. I do I do think its merits of the first Western Fire Emblem game that ever came out in the West, and I will always appreciate that. But I did not grow up with it. It was not my first game. Ironically enough, the next game the first game that I played in for the Fire Emblem series is what is touted as one of the most hated or overlooked Fire Emblem games, and that will have to be Fire Emblem Sacred Stones for the Game Boy Advance. I kind of like it a little bit because of some of the villains, some of the enemy designs, some of the places. Over Definitely the highlights for me has to be the overworld's design because I'm a sucker for that and didn't think too much when it came to the chapter based design of Fire Emblem 7. So I was a little bit spoiled when it came to what I like about a Fire Emblem game. And Fire Emblem Sacred Stones probably swayed my opinion of what I like in a Fire Emblem game, but besides the point, there was also bonus content in the Monster Raid Tower of Valmy thing, even though everybody thinks that's taboo. It's very easy to grind in the game if you know what you're doing. Definitely one of the easiest. And some of the characters are really good. And I definitely kind of like Leon as a character. And some of the bosses are really good. I like some of the music, especially Truth, Hope, and Despair. And I kind of like the duo of Ephraim and Erica to a fault. So, yeah, you can hate on me all you want, but I just really like the game more than I did with Fire Emblem 7. Alright. And capping off this list, we'll go to Alright. Big Man X for 5, I could higher. No? Guess them some pranks. So yeah, Mega Man X for the Nintendo Switch is one of the best games of all time just because of its characters, its lore, its story, its sprite work, its music, its bosses, its enemies. The X is so cool. How you get upgrades in this game is so unique. Getting art containers, the new upgrades thanks to Dr. Light, getting the secrets technique. The bosses are unique. Level design is very interesting, depending on which boss you face beforehand. The final battle with Sigma and the battles with Vile are amazing. Story is incredible. So what is it? 55? Mind? Uh-huh. Oh, actually, that's a good question. Kind of like the other games coming up a little bit more, and I wasn't a huge Mega Man fan, but don't think that I don't hate Mega Man or Mega Man X in any terms. I really love the games, but I just love some other games a lot more, to be honest. And oh boy, I know there's a lot of discussion, but of what I really like, I'm I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just the way that I am. Oh, okay. Right. So, should I just continue for the next 30 minutes? Yeah, with really good games. I mean, I have like 5 more games to get through. Right. All right. Up next in this thing. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is one of my favorite hit games. Alright, so yeah, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 was around the time where the ending of Dragon Ball GT was coming out in the US. Let's see here. So we got some of the great fighters from that game from the Saiyan to Majin Buu arcs. Not only that, but we also got Kid Goku, a few characters from Dragon Ball GT like Oob, Gogeta Super Saiyan 4, some movie villains like Gogeta or Super Gogeta. Then there's also Cooler and Janemba. Janemba was lying around. Cooler and also there. Cooler and Broly. There we are. Cooler and Broly. There's so much to do, so much content. The Dragon Mission thing was fun. Dragon Worlds or whatever. The story mode was unique for its time. There was so much to do, and it looked great for a PS2 game. And the less I talk about the music, the better, because we all know how much of a plagiarist that guy was. So, yeah, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is one of my favorite games. Now, if you're wondering about another fighting game Dragon Ball Z related, right? Next up is Dragon Ball Fighters for PS4. So basically, it's one of my favorites, and even though we haven't received any content since like Jiren or something like that for a good while, the amount of content that we did get was really good. The story was so so, but to be fair, the Dragon Ball games were basically going over the same old stories. So it's good that we got a original new story, even if it was like fighting clones of our favorite characters from time to time. Some of the bosses were really hard, especially Android 21, even though she's um yeah, and anyways, but the main thing of the game was, even though the music doesn't hold candle to Budokai 3, it's really good. The stages are really good. The characters are really fun. The dynamic of each character is really good as well. It's basically Marvel versus Capcom if you give it a Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball spin. And yeah, I just really love the game overall. It's really fun, even though nothing has come of it for a long time. Okay, upcoming is an interesting contradiction of itself. Is Grand Theft Auto Vice City for the Nintendo Switch, the definitive edition? Okay, you know, I'm just going to lay it on the table and say that the game. I will admit that the game does run horribly and kind of looks horrible in some situations, but I loved the 80s setting in Florida, I think. It was really fun. The music is incredible, even though in the current version we don't have Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. And I just really like the story. Tommy Vercetti, or whoever that guy is, rest in peace. The guy who voiced him is really fun. He's a compelling character. Cheats that you can get in this game are just like really fun. World itself is incredible. I really like the story. And yeah, Vice. Not only that, but you could do a lot of stuff like re- real retail estate or something like that. Whatever it's called, giving place merchandise. The amount of stuff to do in Vice City blows out of the park of whatever the third game did, and it was just incredible for what I enjoyed. And it got me into some music that I never thought, especially Hyperactive by Thomas Dolby. So yeah, Vice City is just one of the vicest games of all time. All right. All right. Another game too that I really like is Halo 3. I went with the Master Chief Collection, even though I know that there's some problems with it. But yeah, Halo 3 was actually my first Halo game that I've ever played. Heck, even my brother got the Halo 3 Collector's Edition Xbox or whatever when we were in high school. So yeah, Halo 3 is one of the most fantastic games of all time, and its level design, its characters, its bosses, its lore. Master Chief is one of the most. Master Chief and his connection with Cortana was especially well done. Level design was great. Playing, did you get? Didn't you play this? The Arbiter in this one? I don't exactly remember, but Laura's great. The finale was amazing, even though they kind of ruined it currently. But yeah, and so yeah, Halo 3, the shooting mechanics were really good. The gameplay was amazing. The music is atmospheric, of course, but it's really great. everybody knows the Halo theme in general. Master Chief is an icon. It had one of the best multiplayer experiences of its time. And yeah, I have, even though I played this after Halo 1 and Halo 2, which are just mediocre and okay, Halo 3 itself is just really fun. And I really recommend it. Now, up next is. Now, for the last one I will be talking about is. Okay, so. Super Mario 3D World for the Nintendo Switch. So, I played the original game on the Wii U, thought it was great. Didn't really beat it when it came out, but that all changed when I got Super Mario 3D World. And, of course, the Bowser's Fury theme, but I've yet to play the Bowser's Fury side of this game yet. Need to do that Wednesday, but as it was one of the best multiplayer games as during its time before Super Mario Wonder probably took care of that. Actually, I don't know, which is a better multiplayer game. Well, Super Mario Brothers Wonder is more asymmetrical more than anything, whereas Super Mario 3D is true multiplayer. And I definitely like the level design, the music, the characters, playable characters, the new character abilities, the music. Ah, man, there was so much to enjoy. And even though the villains were so at best, Bowser was one of the biggest highlights of this game, no doubt. And it was really fun. Wait to play the Bowser's Fury theme. Can't wait for that because it's really fun. And yeah, so where does this leave me right now? Well, I'll just say that I'm just going to take a little break for a little bit, get me something to eat in the meantime. Then I think I will just go and play Metroid Prime Remastered for the next few hours. Finally, see if I can get that done. So yeah, I'll see you all in about a couple of minutes. So be right back, and I hope you've had a great day so far, and I hope the rest of your day is better or tomorrow is better for you. And so I will catch you in a little bit. I'll be right back. Say hello to Kirby and Snorlax for me in the meantime. Now I'm gonna eat me some non-sponsored, unsponsored Magic Spoon cereal. And their pumpkin spice is really good. Again, not sponsored by Magic Spoon at all, or their affiliates. I just really love the cereal. You know what I'm also a big sucker about? Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most fascinating card games that I've is probably the most fascinating card games to have ever come out in the last 25 years. Keepers, it's been 25 years. And even though the original creator passed away a few years ago or so, bless his soul, Yu-Gi-Oh! Still stands to be one of the best card games of all time, even though I do agree it's gone complicated to an extent. Should play more of Master Duel. Do love Yu-Gi-Oh! I grew up on the first generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! When the first series came out, Duel Monsters. Huh, I thought GT was okay. It was weird how 3Ds ended, so 5Ds ended, so I never got to experience the rest of the anime at least. I was more interested in the card game more than the actual show itself. The last two shows I remember, like the Pendulum one and the Link Summon one, was very interesting. Now we had cards go over the place, and then restriction to the extra zones themselves. Just definitely a weird time to be a Yu-Gi-Oh player now. And if anyone is wondering what current kind of microphone I'm using, it's one of these Blue Yeti microphones here. Yep. Trying to also work with a little SoundCloud thing, but that's not currently trying to work. Or a pop filter. You know what? I wonder, let's see here. How much Lethal Company costs? Good things about that game. Ah, $10. No kidding. The developer of Lethal Company is a guy called Zeekers. He must have been watching Scooby Doo. Right? Well, in a little moment, I plan on doing my Metroid Prime playthrough, and I will see you all in a little bit. Actually, I don't think I need to go anywhere. I think I'll just end it here for now, so I will continue with my stream in a little bit.